It's a good day to have a good day. Hello, everybody. My name's Cece Ray. Thanks for joining me here at Break the Dish, where we break the news and dish out the tea. We are recapping Traitors. That's right, the season finale. So here is your spoiler alert. If you have not seen the finale, or the episode before it, stop this video, go watch it, come back, and we'll have a good time recapping together, okay? But before you do, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish. We are recapping Traitors. That's right, season finale. Last. Spoiler alert. That's right. If you have not seen the finale or the episode before the finale, pause this video, go watch it, come back, and we'll recap together. Sound like a good plan? Before, though, we do recap Traitors, I would like to take a moment to, for everyone to take a second and pray, give love to Mary Cosby and Robert Cosby Sr. On Monday, Mary's son, Robert Cosby Jr., passed away of an overdose. I cannot imagine the heartbreak that Mary Cosby is going through. I can't even wrap my head around something happening to one of my children. She is literally in a nightmare, and I'm just hoping that everybody's thoughts, love, prayers reach her, and somewhere along the lines, she finds peace. You know what I'm saying? So let's just take a moment to give love to Robert Cosby Jr., Mary Cosby, and the rest of her family. We are recapping Traitors. That's right, the finale. Here we go. So we picked up exactly where we left off. Eager Eric and Snaky Rob. That's right, they were up in the turret. They had to decide who they were going to murder. Remember, this is the last murder of the season. We don't know who they chose, but guess what? That's right. We got a twist on our hands again. So the whole cast was brought to the outside of the castle, and long and behold, here's a coffin sitting there. And Alan Cummings decides to announce that they're going to find out who's murdered right then and there on the spot. So who do you think Eager Eric and Snaky Rob murdered? Even though it breaks my heart, my fellow dancer, that's right, it was Mark. So sad. Mark played a good game, and really he's getting murdered because he trusted Rob. Let's not get it twisted. So Mark is now told to get into the coffin. Alan Cummings slams the door on it, and then they light a ring of fire around the coffin, and that was it. So, let's give like a little round of applause for Mark. He deserves it. different. So the next morning is the final day in the castle, and we are left with Eric, Tara, Rob, Maura. I can't believe she made it all the way. And Johnny. Now, listen, Snaky Rob and eager Eric, after breakfast, take Maura to the side, and they're trying to convince her that it is Johnny and Tara who are the traitors. Then Tara gets a hold of Maura. God love Maura. She's being torn in every direction here. Is now trying to convince Maura to vote Eric because she believes that Eric is a traitor. So Maura's like, I don't know who to trust. Well, in your position, I wouldn't know who to trust either, to be quite honest. So now it is the final mission. And first they are told that two people have to get into the helicopter. I know. It's like, I would just start laughing myself because I could never get into the helicopter with the door open, flying around Scotland, as wonderful as it seems, and probably the views are amazing. I'm a big chicken. I'm just saying, one big chicken. But Rob and Maura are the ones that jump into the helicopter. The rest of the cast is going to be taken to the lock, which is like the river there, okay? Now, $20,000 is up for grabs in this mission. So what they have to do is the cast that's at the lock, okay, they have to jump in this boat, and in the lock there are 4 pontoons, okay? Each pontoon has a question on it. The question has to deal with the players who are no longer there, okay? Everybody has to answer the question correctly. Meanwhile, Rob and Maura are like flying up above them. Rob and Maura, okay, have this chest with like key cards, which could be the answers, okay? They also have these floats. So the floats, they're going to throw down from the helicopter. And each float represents how much money they're willing to bid on, basically, if they think they're answering the question correctly or not. Do you see what I'm saying? So they, I think it goes from 500, they can bid 500, all the way to 9,000. Okay. It just depends on how confident they are, really, you know. So here's the players. They're out in the lock. It is not only freezing cold, there's not even a drop of sunshine. I don't know what time of day they actually were filming this, but I mean, it is foggy. It is miserable out there. Plus, because the helicopter is flying on top of this water, all the mist of the water from the helicopter is now like on top of everybody in the boat. You know what I mean? But I have to tell you, I have no problem getting in that boat, but I couldn't get in the helicopter. So the first question, okay, brace yourself, is whose coffin was the last to be put in the grave? Remember that first mission? Now, Rob is like, I put marks in there, but I don't know if I was the last one or not, but I think I was. So him and Maura are chatting. They're chatting with the cast down below, and they bid 500. So they throw their float from the helicopter down into the water. Now the players in the boat have to race to get to the float, pick up the float, take it to the pontoon, okay, put the key card on the chest, and if it's green, it's correct, and they have to take the bag of money that they bid on and put it in their boat, okay? So, whose coffin was the last to be put in the grave? They chose the answer Mark, and Mark was correct. That's right. Mark was correct. So they had 500. The next question. Who sat across from Jam Jam at the murder banquet? Now, Tara is saying, I know this because I was sitting directly across from him as well, and it's Colton. Well, it seemed like nobody else really was confident in knowing if it was Colton or not. So they literally went with her answer, and they bid $9,000, and sure enough, she was correct. Ding, ding, ding. That's right. Congratulations, Tara. The third question, which player started and ended on a shield throne at the second mission? Remember the shield throne? They were like being carried. They all right away knew it was Caroline Stansberry. They bid $3,000, and yes, it was correct. Ding, ding, ding. Fourth and last question. Which housewife has received the most overall votes this season? Well, they all thought about it. And Rinna is who they chose. And Rinna, she was the answer. Ding, ding, ding. So they got all four correctly. So now the players in the boat have all these bags of money. So now they have to, sail over to where Alan is standing, get up onto the coast there, climb out of the boat, run to Alan. Here, bing, there's your money. Congratulations. You won $20,000. Everybody's applauding. Everybody's happy. But Mr. Alan Cummings, he can't do anything just, straightforward. Yep, there was a twist. So the mission quite was not over yet. So how he explains it is the clock paused with the remaining time left, okay, which I think is 5 minutes. They had 25. With the remaining 5 minutes, you have a chance to double your money. Would you do it? I would do it. I mean, you don't have anything. Well, I guess you do have something to lose. I guess $20,000, but I would definitely take a chance, However, here's the rest of it. So to get that double the money, the catch is that the card that opens the chest up is floating in a buoy in the middle of the lock, okay? It's this like orange globe thing. Now, it's tethered to the orange buoy, and the only way to get it is if somebody jumps out of that airplane, swims to the buoy, grabs the key cards, swims to shore, runs to where Alan is, puts the key cards into the chest to get to double the money, Now, like I said, I would have a problem getting into that helicopter, more or less jumping out of it. And Maura, God love her, she can't swim. So it's up to Snaky Rob. Now, let's give Snaky Rob credit. He didn't think twice. And he's the one that's been really good at these missions, you know. So he stands up, he's on the, that, whatever you want to call it, the outside step of the helicopter because the doors are open. And he's got 5 minutes. So he jumps into the water. He's swimming to the buoy. And oh my gosh, while this is going on, okay, the rest of the players are standing there with Alan Cummings. They are all huddled. They can't stop shaking because that's how cold it is. So you can imagine what the water temperature is. But Rob hits that water. He starts swimming to the buoy. He gets the key cards. And he was saying, like, he's swimming to shore, like, as hard as he can, but he feels like he's swimming like a snail because, he can't feel his body. Like, it's just so cold. He makes it to shore. He's lost a shoe in the process. You can see he's really struggling physically. I mean, he's really struggling, but he's pushing through. He puts the key cards in, and guess what? They got it. They doubled their money. So they got 40,000 from this last mission. So that brings the grand total to $220,800. That's a lot of money. Let's hear it again. They did a really good job. They really did. So they completed their final mission.
Hi everyone, Cece Ray here. I wanted to tell you about one of my favorite, and I do mean favorite, websites for savings, and we all love savings. It is called Morning Save, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, so see this? Now, I'm showing you this for a reason, okay? This is Dermalactives. It's a 7-in-1 LED light therapy mask. Now, you and I both know you can't find this for less than $100 anywhere, okay? I bought this for $39. Matter of fact, I bought one for my daughter too, and I bought it for $39 at Morning Save. Now, they not only just have beauty products, I mean, they have everything from fashion, home interior, organization, even sometimes cleaning supplies. But there is a catch. If you find something on that website and you don't buy it immediately, it could be gone. Just like that. Because they only have so much inventory. And when it's sold out, it's sold out. So make sure you visit Morning Save, go to the link in my description down below, and start all of your incredible savings.
So now, here it comes. They're getting ready for the final round table. Now, let me remind you that from this point on, though, whoever they banish, they do not say whether they are a faithful or a traitor. That's done. Okay? So Tara is telling Maura, you need to vote for Eager Eric there. She's convinced he's a traitor. You have to trust me. And meanwhile, Rob is trying to tell Maura, no. We got to get Johnny out of there. We got to split them up. They're the traitors. And at this point, you're not quite sure what's going to happen. At one point in that library area, it was Rob, Maura, and Eric, And Rob notices how Maura is lying right to Eric's face about how obviously she's not going to vote for him. You know, we got this. Completely lying to him. And Rob starts wondering, like, is she lying to my face too? Possibly, you know? So Rob says in his confessional, like, he needs Eric not to be banished in order to win this game. If they banish Eric, it's done. Game over. You know, that's how he's seeing it. So now we're at the round table. And you know what I found kind of interesting? First off, I thought Eric would squeal like a little piglet, and he didn't. So I'm kind of impressed by that. But Eager Eric actually started the conversation. And he said, you know, I feel alone because I'm in the middle. I've got 2 from Love Island here and 2 Olympians over here. And I'm kind of like here all by myself. And Johnny says, yeah, but you know, the problem I'm having with you is that you've been flying under the radar. And Tara, of course, jumps in and she's like, you've never really come to me and connected with me and said like a name throughout the game that you thought was a traitor, not like passionately, like, I know this person's a traitor. And Eric says, no, I didn't come to you. I went to my group, and my group was Mark, Kristen, and Rob. And Tara was like, yeah, but in the car today, you know, I was putting pressure on you to at least tell me who you thought, and you threw Maura's name out there. He did. And he admits it. He says, yeah, I did. But I'm looking at everyone. Well, Rob now jumps in. Snaky Rob. He says, listen, with such a small group, it's hard not to think of everyone. He's like, but I'm going with my gut instinct. I trust Maura and I trust Eric. So now it's time to vote. We're getting down to the wire. There's now 2 votes for Eric and 2 votes for Johnny. And who do you think the deciding vote was? God love her, Maura. Mm-hmm. And guess who she voted for? Take a guess. She voted for Johnny. So Johnny is now out of there. Johnny deserves a round of applause for that. Johnny did a good job. You know. So now you can see Tara's like, oh crap. You know what I mean? So Tara says to Maura, look, it's not me. It's Rob and Eric. And Maura's listening to her. And she's thinking, God, am I trusting the wrong people? Like, I don't know who to trust here. Meanwhile, Rob and Eric, you know, they're thinking, yeah, we got this. But at one point in the kitchen, when they first come out from the round table, Maura and Rob like give each other a big hug and they pinky promise each other that they're going to the end together and they trust each other. Snaky Rob and poor little Maura. So now, you know how before, you know, you go to the finale, Alan now sits with the final 4, you know, and has like a little chat with them. So Eric was first and he says, you know, I have allies, like I've made allies. And he says, but you know, I would like the nice guy to win, you know? I'd like to see the nice guy win. I'm the nice guy. And Tara says it would be a personal victory for her because she's usually always has it wrong. I kind of felt sorry for her when she said that because throughout this entire game, she has had it wrong. Snaky Rob. You know, he says the things I've done that I'm not proud of, that I've done through this game, you know, to win would make all of that worth it, you know. And then in his confessional, he was saying, like, I hope Tara has not put any doubt in Maura's mind. Maura says that, you know, she's nervous in trusting Rob because that has been her problem through her life, is that she's been always lied and cheated on. Oh, Maura. Oh, boy. And so here we are. We're at the final. And how this works is each person has a little, you know, box in front of them. And in the box, there's a little bag of green or a little bag of red that they throw into the fire. Well, Alan throws it in for them. Green means that you want the game to end. You do not believe there's any more traitors here and everybody's a faithful. Red means you want to keep the game going, which means you want to banish again because you think there might be a traitor amongst you. Okay? So, everybody, you know, gives Alan their little bags. He throws one by one into the fire and they all put in red. So they all wanted to banish again. Maura, okay, you know it's coming down to her, right? Because Snaky Rob, he voted for Tara. Eager Eric, he voted for Tara. But it was up to Maura. And Maura voted Tara. Mm-hmm. Yes, she did. She voted Tara. So now they get to do it again. Okay? But remember, you know, Maura always had this hunch or gut feeling that it possibly could be Eric. And Snaky Rob, he made that pact with her that they'd go to the end together. And I think he knew her way of thinking, of how she would be thinking about this. So they all give their little bags to Alan. And the first one that throws is Eric. And he throws green. Yep. He's ready to end the game. The next one was Maura. She threw hers in. And it was red. She wants to banish again. Well, guess what? Snaky Rob, his got thrown in, and it was red. Mm-hmm. You should have saw eager Eric's face. Because he knows. He knows that Rob's not voting for Maura to get out. You know what I'm saying? Why would he do that? He knows the game's over for him. So now they have to write the names of who they want to banish. And eager Eric says, I'm a faithful and I'm voting for you, Rob. You are the traitor. Maura's standing there, you know, and Snaky Rob, he does one of these. I don't know what he's talking about. Don't worry about it, you know. So Snaky Rob, he votes Eric as a traitor. And so does Maura. We knew that was going to happen, you know? And so now Eric is out of the game. Give eager Eric a big round of applause. I really thought he'd squeal like a little pig before this. So now it is Maura and Snaky Rob. And Alan Cummings turns around and says, Maura, will you now reveal, are you a faithful or a traitor? And Maura starts with, I'm sorry, Rob. Let me tell you, Snaky Rob, he reacts like this. Oh, F, like, oh, shit. That's how snaky he is. And she goes, I'm just kidding. I'm a faithful. And he has this big smile on his face, like, yeah, girl, we won this together, you know? So then Alan Cummings turns around and says, Rob, will you now reveal, are you a faithful or a traitor? And he looks at Maura and he says, from the beginning to now, I always have been and always will be a traitor. Well, Maura thinks he's kidding. Like, her reaction is like, like she thinks he's joking. And she looks at Alan, and she looks at him, and Rob looks back at her. And Snaky Rob says, no, seriously, I'm a traitor. She was so devastated. And she was like, we pinky promised. You're an asshole. And, you know, I don't think they're going to be friends after this. Let's just put it that way. But let's give first a round of applause to Maura. Listen, she made it all the way to the end. I don't know how she did, actually. I really do think Snaky Rob did protect her through the entire game, because she certainly, you know, wasn't playing with a full deck the whole time. But let's give a huge round of applause to Snaky Rob. Absolutely. He played the best game as a traitor, hands down, probably the best traitor, at least at the bare minimum, in the American version. He played an excellent game. And the crazy thing is he was never even put up for banishment. I think he got one vote the whole game. And that's when Candace put his name out there. And the first time she said, oh, well, I'm putting his name out there like as a throwaway vote, which everybody was like, what does that mean? And then it wasn't until that round that she was getting banished that she voted Rob again. And she said, I think we need to be looking at people that are like flying under the radar. He was never even up for banishment. I mean, like, never, ever up for banishment. People literally trusted him. I mean, trusted him. I think that it was his charisma. He's got this certain way about him. Gives a little like, sly smile. Makes you think as though, yeah, girl, I got your back. Don't worry. I always got your back. You know, spoke when it was important to speak, listened, watched, especially at those round tables of which way the vote was going to go. Snaky Rob, he did an excellent job He was an excellent traitor. And all I can say is, this should be a really interesting reunion. You know what I mean? But you got to give it to him. It's a game. And he played the game, not just successfully. Like, if you hear sounds, I don't know what's going on outside. There's like some sort of like helicopters or something going on out there. He really played the game well, don't you think? I mean, Snaky Rob. He did it. He took the whole pot and ran with it. And I don't foresee him and Maura being friends. I mean, like, you know, ugh. To be in Maura's shoes, I would be so angry. Not all at him, but I would be angry at myself for trusting him, for not seeing through him. You know what I mean? For not listening to everybody else, especially Tara and Johnny, when they were saying to her, he's a traitor. He's a traitor. But that's the point of the game, you know, because he came back in her ear saying, no, 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 girl. Johnny and Tara, those Olympians. That, you know, they lied. They lied to everybody, said they weren't really friends. And then when it was time for Johnny to get banished, or he was up for banishment, like the heat was really on him, these two come skipping in holding hands. You can't trust them. Those Olympians. Those sneaky little devils. Snaky Rob won the whole shebang. But it's a game. He played it phenomenally. Definitely one of the best traders. Definitely on the American version. So congratulations, Snaky Rob. So what do you guys think? What do you think about Snaky Rob taking it all? What did you think of the whole season as a whole? I thought this season was phenomenal. There wasn't one week that wasn't a twist, a turn, not just in the dynamics of the players, but also in the missions or the game as a whole. I mean, listen, this was the first season we had a secret traitor. I mean, I love that. And I can't wait for our new traitors to come out. What about you? I am obsessed with this game. I am obsessed with this show. True fan here. What do you guys think? I love to hear your comments. Start a conversation. But before you do, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish.